Hi, today I'd like to talk to you about the Bible itself. Bibles were originally written on papyrus, and papyrus is an organic material, and no matter how well you keep it in the open air, it starts to decay and rot. After about 200-300 years, it falls apart. So the early fathers had scribes who kept making new copies. As they saw the old copy started to fall apart, they would start to make a new copy. And the people who did these were scribes. They were a very honored profession. They worked for kings and courts of kings. They were if you wanted to be a scribe, you had to be an apprentice to a person who was a scribe master. And over years of copying and also learning to write and read, you were approved to be a master of copying the Bible. And anyhow, by the time the King James Bible was written in 1611, there was 5,600 manuscripts that were all 99.5% similar. And they were called the Textus Receptus. And the reason why Bibles are not exactly the same is because there's a jot and a tittle, and they're very small. A jot is just a very small dot, and the tittle is a fat part on the end of a 7. That it's very hard. It's very easy for a copier to make a mistake with it. So they were 99.5% accurate, these 5,600 Bibles in the Textus Receptus. And then in 1946, some children were playing near the Dead Sea, and they discovered these Dead Sea Scrolls that were in a cave. They were packed in terracotta jars. And they broke the jars open. They found that there were manuscripts there. And when they carbon dated these manuscripts, they found them to be older than any of the existing Textus Receptus manuscripts. Now, the reason they're older is because they were in a jar and they didn't have oxygen and they did not oxidize. Now, so scientists decided that, well, they're older, they must be better. But they had no they had no mark, they had no authority. The masters who oversaw the process of copying the Bible had to put their stamp on the manuscripts. They had to approve it. It had to be authorized, just like the King James Bible is authorized by King James himself. And so these manuscripts have no one knows where they came from. They could have been the work of a student. They could have been the work of just somebody who went off and did something. There's no telling that they were actually working for some king or somebody. Nobody knows how they got there. The devil could have just put them there for no reason. But the differences between the Dead Sea Scrolls manuscripts and the Textus Receptus manuscripts are large. There's major differences. And the differences are many, not 99.5%, but closer to 95%. And they're different in a lot of very crucial things. The differences in the Textus Receptus are things that don't really make a difference in doctrine. Like, do they say a man or the man? But the things in the Dead Sea Scrolls are very different, and they lead to different doctrines. That's why I'm a big proponent of using the King James or the New King James Bible, or Bibles that are based on the Textus Receptus and not based on some scrolls that nobody knows how they got there or where they came from or who wrote them, if anybody wrote them. So anyhow, that's my thing on Bible translations. get a good translation and stick to it. I like the New King James translation. I think it's the best. It's the best trade-off of accuracy and poetry. And you need to have that beauty in your life every day when you read the book of the Bibles. You need to have that beauty come into you. You can't do without the poetry. Okay, thank you so much, and talk to you later.